Well, it's just me today. Everybody else is too busy. And I've only found three news articles that I've discussed before the start of my classes recently, but they struck me as pretty important. Microsoft has a serious vulnerability where you can bring a copy of an old driver that's vulnerable. They call it bring your own vulnerable driver, and it's been used in quite a few attacks. And Microsoft has claimed for 2 years that they have a solution for this in the form of a tool that recognizes known bad drivers and blocks them. But after a couple of years of investigations and inquiries, they finally had to admit that that tool never worked. The actual update process, so update the list of vulnerable drivers, was broken, and it never had stopped any of them. And this became more and more apparent as the researchers found older and well-known drivers still used again and again in attacks and not being stopped. So anyway, yeah, the good side of this is, of course, Microsoft has finally patched that. So perhaps the bring your own vulnerable driver attack will begin to decrease in popularity. There's a terrifying story on the Daily Beast by Sam Gedge talking about collective punishment. And this is an attorney who's representing people. In order to keep crime out of housing, there are safe housing laws. And they say that if any member of your family commits a crime, you will be evicted. So people are being evicted even when distant relatives that aren't living there commit crimes. And so he's trying to defend these people on the grounds that the people you're evicting did not commit a crime. And so it does sound like a lot of these very troubling legal situations, like asset forfeiture, where the government gets the power to do something that just seems manifestly unjust and unfair. And so I hope he prevails in his attempt to defend these people. And the last one might be the most important one. We've talked a lot about global warming, and you can now have their technology is proposed, not proven yet, but it sounds very good to cool the Earth by blasting something up into the upper atmosphere. And especially over the poles, we could cool the poles right away at a very modest cost of something like $15 billion a year. And I think we really need to. And the White House agrees, and they are coordinating a 5-year research plan to find ways to modify the amount of sunlight. And I think we passed the point of this being a questionable, arguable thing. I think it's incredibly clear that the Earth is warming too much, and it's going to warm a lot more before we're done burning fossil fuels. And we need to have artificial cooling for the Earth. And we can do this. We need to terraform the Earth. It undoubtedly will be expensive and undoubtedly will have other consequences, but I think the warming is very dangerous. And so I'm glad they're taking it seriously. Of course, I imagine it all depends on whether the Democrats win another term. I would imagine that any Republican, especially a Trumpy Republican, would stop all this and just say, oh, there is no global warming. It's all fake, like Trump does. So like pretty much every good thing in America and a large portion of the world, it all depends on the next election or two here. Anyway, that's all I have this time. Hopefully on Friday, more of my gang will appear and we'll have more of a discussion. Farewell.